Hi, I'm David. I'm here to tell you how I went from a small, run-down neighborhood to building my own company. If you'd told me when I was a kid that one day I'd be a successful entrepreneur, I wouldn't have believed you. I grew up in a tiny, broken-down house on the edge of town. My dad worked at the factory, but after he lost his job, things became even tougher. My mom took on extra work, cleaning houses, but there was never enough money. Every day after school, I would rush home. Not because I had fun waiting for me, but because I needed to help Mom with anything I could. When I was 12, I started my first job, delivering newspapers before sunrise. I'd wake up at 4:30 a.m., grab the bundle of papers, and hit the streets on my old bicycle. It didn't pay much, but it helped keep food on the table. Those cold mornings taught me something important, that nothing in life would come easy. If I wanted something, I had to work for it. As I got older, I picked up more odd jobs. One summer, I worked at a construction site, carrying bricks and mixing cement under the blistering sun. The foreman often yelled at us to work faster, and most days I came home exhausted. But I knew there was no other choice. I had dreams, big dreams, but they were far beyond my reach at the time. What I did know, however, was that every brick I carried, every blister on my hands, was building me a foundation of discipline and resilience. After high school, college wasn't an option. We simply couldn't afford it. So, I took a job at a local grocery store stacking shelves. The pay wasn't great, but I quickly learned something that would change my life: how to talk to people. I watched customers, chatted with them, and began to understand what they liked, what they didn't, and most importantly, what they wanted. I started noticing gaps, small business ideas that others seemed to miss. I'd listen to customers complain about how hard it was to find certain products, or how they wished the store would offer delivery. That's when I had an idea. At 21, I borrowed a few $100s from a friend and bought a beat-up old van. My plan? Grocery delivery. It wasn't much, just me driving around town delivering groceries to people who couldn't get out, but it caught on quickly. Word of mouth spread, and soon I had more orders than I could handle on my own. I hired a couple of friends to help, and suddenly I had a small team. But it wasn't smooth sailing. There were days when the van would break down in the middle of nowhere, and I'd have to call for help. There were weeks when I barely broke even, wondering if I'd made the right choice. But every time I considered giving up, I remembered those long nights watching my parents struggle, and I knew I couldn't stop. I didn't want to go back. By the time I was 25, I had saved enough to open a small store of my own. It wasn't big, just a corner shop with shelves filled with the products I knew my customers wanted. I spent hours every day at the store, talking to people, learning more about what made them happy. I didn't have a fancy degree or business training, but I had something else: persistence and the ability to adapt. That little store grew into a second store, then a third. I started offering not just groceries, but other services: laundry, household items, even basic tech products. People trusted me because I had spent years earning their respect and listening to their needs. One day, I received a call that would change everything. A local investor had heard about my stores and was impressed by the way I had built my business from the ground up. He wanted to partner with me to expand, not just in our town, but to other cities. It was the opportunity I had been waiting for, but it wasn't without challenges. Expanding meant taking risks, big ones. There were moments when I wondered if I was in over my head. But each time fear crept in, I thought back to that boy delivering newspapers in the freezing cold, or lugging bricks under the hot sun, and I knew that if I had survived those days, I could survive anything. Now, at 35, I own a chain of successful stores across multiple cities, employ hundreds of people, and have my own fleet of delivery trucks. Looking back, the journey wasn't easy. It was filled with failures, sleepless nights, and moments of doubt. But every hardship taught me a lesson, and every setback made me stronger. The most important thing I've learned is this: success isn't about where you start. It's about where you're willing to go and how hard you're willing to work to get there. Every job I took, every challenge I faced, was a stepping stone. And here I am, not just a businessman, but a boy who dared to dream and never gave up on that dream.